Alright guys, today I'm going to be ranking my top 25 coasters based off their best element. Now, I will mention, I do count Lightning Rod as 2 credits, so I will include Incredible Hulk on this list, which is my number 26. Now, I will not be including sequences because that's just unfair. However, if one individual part of a sequence is so good that it's still the best part of the ride, then I will include it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 25 is Superman the Ride's It Happens Hill. I think it's a pretty fun element. It's a good moment of ejector, but that being said, it's definitely one of the weaker moments of ejector, especially compared to all the other spots on this list. And Superman the Ride overall is just kind of filled with a lot of good, not ultra elite elements though. So Superman the Ride's going to come in last place. Number 24 is Twisted Timbers with the third Camelback. This is a very strong, sustained moment of airtime. It's not the strongest ejector out there, but for a ride like this, it's good. It's definitely a mid-tier RMC, and a lot of the elements on this ride feel like they're a lot weaker than other RMCs, but these 3 Camelbacks at the start of the ride are really strong, and I do think the third one's the best out of them. Number 23 is the Greenside's High Five on Twisted Colossus. This is a nice solid moment of ejector and laterals combined. There's a lot of moments on this list that combine airtime and laterals because I really like that. This is definitely one of the weaker moments, but it's definitely still a really fun element. Twisted Colossus is a lot like the other 2 mid-tier RMCs in my rankings where nothing's truly stand out, but it's all great. And coming in at number 22 is the one weird Outer Bank towards the end of Wicked Cyclone. It's really hard to explain where it is, but it's right after the second to last turnaround. You're kind of losing some momentum, and then bam, you're just hit with the strongest moment of airtime on the ride. It makes no sense, but it kind of comes out of nowhere. It's a good moment of ejector, not the craziest thing in the world, but definitely stands out, especially since, again, you had some pretty lackluster turns before that. Now, coming in at number 21, this is going to really ruffle some feathers. This is Steel Vengeance's Giant Outer Bank. Yes, Steel Vengeance's best element didn't even crack the top 20. I'm sorry. This element's pretty good. It's weaker sustained ejector, but I do think it is sustained ejector. And overall, I love my sustained ejector, especially if it's outer banked, but there's definitely a lot better outer banks out there. Coming in at number 20 is the coaster that got an entry on this list thanks to Lightning Rod being 2 credits in my opinion, and that is Incredible Hulk's launch. Oh my god, this launch is fantastic. By far a top 5 launch for me. It's just so punchy. You get up to that top speed in no time. I love the theming around it. It's just one of the biggest gut punches ever. And this is definitely one of the more underrated elements out there. Coming in at number 19 is the Sustained Hill on Pipeline the Surf Coaster. Oh my god, just what a weird element. If you haven't experienced this ride, you have no clue what this feels like. It is truly different than anything else. You get a strong pop of ejector going into it, and then you just levitate there, completely exposed, absolutely nothing holding you in besides your vest. There's nothing above your head. Your feet are completely off the ground. It's amazing. And then you sustain the butterflies. And yes, this element gives me butterflies, with a few that still does. And then when you're supposed to come back to the floor, the surf trains will actually gradually bring you back down when you start hitting positives. So it's weird. You almost get more airtime than you're supposed to, which I really like. It's very bizarre to explain how it feels, but this is definitely one of my favorite elements out there. Coming in at number 18 is Copperhead Strike Snap. This is sort of in the middle of the second half, and oh my god, I love this moment. It's a mini I-305 snap right here. You get good ejector combined with some laterals. I love those trains so your body can just completely flop around. It's just a really good element here. 17 is the second Road Hill on Ravine Flyer 2. This is just a great pure moment of ejector airtime. It's very sustained. It almost feels like it goes on for too long, which I absolutely love. You're just wondering, when am I going to land back in my seat? It's one of the most sustained moments out there for sure. And it's definitely some strong airtime. I love the visuals going over the road. I love the sense of speed you get going over this too. You just feel like you're absolutely flying throughout this ride. And yeah, this is just such a good element. Definitely the highlight of the ride. Number 16 is Coney Island Cyclone's unbanked ejector death hill towards the end of the ride. Again, if you've never ridden this ride, you don't know what this element actually does to you. But basically, it's like that one hill on Steel Vengeance right before the ending, right before it goes into the structure one last time, on steroids for sure. You have those great restraints so you could absolutely fly out of your seat, and then you get some great ejector, getting shot out of your seat, and then out of nowhere, you just get absolutely thrown to the right. I mean, this thing throws you mercilessly. It is amazing. It's a very brief moment, but man, is it aggressive. I absolutely love this ride for how aggressive it is, and this element definitely displays that the best in my opinion. Coming in at 15 is Pantheon's backwards ejector hill. I really like this element. I don't like it quite as much as some people, but I do really appreciate how strong the airtime is, especially given that you're going backwards throughout it. It's a brief moment of ejector, but again, being backwards absolutely makes up for it. I feel like I'm more used to backwards ejector than most people, given that I have Whirlwind at my home park being Seabreeze, because if you take that ride in the right positions, you can get backwards ejector. So it's not quite as special for me, but yeah, it's still such a weird feeling getting backwards ejector, especially this strong, because this moment's stronger than anything on Whirlwind. So yeah, I absolutely love this moment. Definitely a top 15 worthy element on this list. Coming in at number 14 is the only element that has made me black out, and that is Goliath's downwards helix. Oh my god, again, I didn't have food for 11 hours straight, but man, that's still impressive. This thing got me to black out. The positives on this element are disgusting. They might even be stronger than Project 305's first turn. You have no control over how much you're losing your vision. It's very sustained. It gets stronger as the element goes. And again, if you're blacked out, you're going to be pretty much out of it until you start getting airtime on the next hill. And then you sort of just snap back into it mid-airtime moment. It is incredible. I'm definitely an airtime guy over positive G's, but I've got to acknowledge how great this moment of positives is. Number 13 is my favorite launch, this being King Daka's launch. Just what a destructive element this is. You get 3 distinct bursts. It's not like Dragsters where it was just one continuous launch. I like this a lot better, where you can't tell when you're going to get one of the bursts, and when they hit, it is insane. Just you don't ever get that sort of feeling on anything else. Just getting hit in the gut like that over and over again. The sense of speed is incredible. Again, this element has no airtime, which is why it can't climb higher in my rankings, but for what it is, oh my god, this launch is incredible. Number 12 is the double down, specifically the second down on Phoenix. Oh my god, if you're in the back, you're gonna feel like you can fly out on this with those buzz bars. You get ejected so hard into your buzz bar. There's not really much else to talk about with this element other than it's just a scary, strong ejector moment. Now, from here on out, it was really painful having to decide what my favorite elements were, with the exception of the top few elements. But everything from here to like number 4 was extremely tough to choose. But coming in at number 11 is the second twist and shout on Lightning Rod. Oh my god, this element is so strong. It's just pure, strong, sustained ejector and laterals combined. I absolutely love this, especially when you're going downhill. I love the terrain usage on this. And again, yeah, it's just a pure violent moment of ejector, especially on that right side or load side. This is just one of the all-time greats, but there's so many great elements I've done, this can only be number 11 on this list. So coming in at number 10 might be the most painful one of them all, and it's Project 305's first snap. Now, what really makes Project 305 a top 5 coaster for me is these 3 triple snaps, but taking them all in a row, feeling the speed, feeling the sustained G's, just having one of them individually is still amazing, obviously. It's my number 10 element. Obviously, you get that insane airtime lateral combination. However, it's just the pure chaos of having it all in a row that makes this ride amazing. And just grading it off of one individual element, I have to put it at number 10, I'm sorry. I still absolutely love this element, though. Coming in at number 9 is Iron Gwazi's big sustained wave turn over the station. This is another very strong and sustained airtime lateral combo. Yeah, it's amazing how hard you get absolutely diagonally ejected, and it's sustained for a good few seconds, too. It's just a real shame I can only put this at number 9, because there's some really good elements coming up later. Number 8 is X2's first drop. It's just one of the most bonkers, out-of-control elements ever. You don't get the strongest airtime ever over this, but you do get some airtime. But, of course, that airtime is in the laying down position like Falcon's Fury. And the start of it does feel like Falcon's Fury. But then, of course, partway down, you do a flip, and you completely lose your sense of direction. The positives just start piling on. You go from levitating out of your seat, facing the ground, to absolutely getting pummeled with positive Gs. This is just one of the most bonkers elements out there, for sure. And I can only imagine what Egenika and Dino Conda do to you, because those look even more insane. Coming in at number 7 is Maverick's second Stangle Dive. Oh my god, I really want to put this element higher, because it was just bonkers. The laterals on this were amazing. You get 2 bursts of it, too. When you're going into it, you get absolutely chucked to the left. Some of the most violent laterals you'll ever feel, combined with airtime. If you'd argue that this is the most violent moment of laterals out there, I wouldn't complain, because that's definitely a valid opinion for sure. And then you also get one more burst of laterals, absolutely snapping you to the right coming out of it. It's such an aggressive maneuver. Maverick overall is just such a perfect ride. It has so many contenders for the best element on the ride, but I do think the second Stangle Dive stands out. Coming in at number 6 is El Toro's second Camelback. I could have picked the first, but they feel about the same, and the second one has a nice head chopper, so I said, yeah, why not give it to the second? Either way, these Camelbacks give some disgustingly strong and sustained airtime. If you want textbook, sustained ejector, you look to these 2 Camelbacks. This is what most enthusiasts say is perfect sustained ejector, and I've ridden another element that has better sustained ejector. You know, maybe T-Express's first Camelback is better, but still, these are some of the greatest elements out there for how sustained and how strong these are. Number 5 is my favorite first drop out there, and this is Sky Rush's. Of course, you guys all know about the kink in the middle of the drop. Even before you hit the kink, you get some good ejector, but oh my god, when you hit that kink, it is just one of the most out of control, out of this world feeling things out there. There's just no way to describe how this thing hits a second gear in the middle of it. And I do think the start of this drop is a bit weaker than El Toro's, but I just love how strong this kink is. And I've heard from someone that apparently T-Express's combines the strength of El Toro's first drop and the kink of Sky Rush, so if that's the case, then that's terrifying to think about, but this drop still has one of the most insane moments of airtime out there, just absolutely skyrocketing out of your seat halfway down. Number 4 is Wildcat's Revenge's second wave turn. This thing definitely gives one of the deadliest airtime lateral combinations out there. The airtime is just unbelievably strong. And then you throw in the fact that this thing feels like it's trying to break your back by absolutely folding you over. It's one of the most insane elements out there by far. I know I say that for a lot of the elements on this list, but this one especially, oh my god, if you're not ready for it, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Now we're at the top 3, and I think these 3 spots are pretty clear to me. So coming in at number 3 is the Mosasaurus roll on Velocicoaster. This element is the only reason this ride is in my top 10. If this element didn't exist, Velocicoaster probably wouldn't even be in my top 20. I'm not going to lie. The rest of it is pretty lackluster. However, once you get to this element, everything changes. Your life changes. Unless you've been on another coaster, which we'll get to later. But If you haven't been on that, your life changes. It is so weird to describe how you get this strong of inverted ejector airtime. This is one of the all-time great airtime moments, and it's an inversion. It's so weird to describe. And you also get some of the strongest laterals of all time combined with that. Combine that with the amazing setting over the water, and you've got one of the all-time greats. And it's a real shame the rest of the ride isn't ultra elite like Maverick or something like that. This ride proves to me that if Maverick had that Heartline roll, it would be a top 5 coaster in the world potentially, but anyways, that's what ifs. Velocicoaster's Mosasaurus roll is still disgusting. However, there's definitely 2 moments that are better. And coming in at number 2 is Magnum's second to last ejector hill. All 3 of these final 3 airtime moments on Magnum would have been number 2. However, I think this second to last hill is the best. And, oh my god. Again, if you haven't been on this number 1 coaster that I'll get to in a minute, you're not prepared for what you're about to experience on Magnum. These airtime moments are genuinely terrifying. I don't care if you're even stapled. You will feel yourself absolutely flying out of the seat. The lap bar will be more towards your knees than your actual lap. It's terrifying how strong these are. They are the most abrupt, strongest moments of airtime anywhere except my number 1 coaster. These are genuinely scary, and especially this third moment. Again, this is one single normal airtime moment. It's not even the most sustained thing in the world. It's more sustained than people give it credit for, but it's not even that sustained. It's just so strong that this one moment alone can be over moments like the Mosasaurus roll or Sky Rush's first drop, whatever. But I think you guys all knew what coaster was gonna take my number 1 spot. And of course, it is Air Force One with the second hill in the finale, or the first hill of the quad down, hill after the chili dip, whatever you want to call it. All of these finale hills are just the strongest moments on the planet, not even a question. Magnums are close, but these are the strongest. And thinking about it, I do think the second hill in this finale is the strongest. That's the one that just makes you go, what the hell is this ride doing to me? This feels illegal. I don't even know how this level of airtime would be allowed in a third world country or something with less restrictions. It's mind-blowing how strong this airtime is. And you have definitely less than a second, maybe like half a second to recover from the chili dip right before it, which is, again, stronger than anything else. And then again, you just hit this one hill, the start of the quad down, you get absolutely skyrocketed no matter where you are. Words cannot explain what this finale does to you, any of the hills. Between how rapid fire they are, the strength, it's amazing. Any one of these hills would rank at number 1 individually. And if we're not even counting the finale, this ride might still win with the arcade roll, just because of how disgusting the airtime lateral combination is on that. Strongest laterals of any element out there. Probably stronger airtime than the Mosasaurus roll. It's just the Mosasaurus roll on steroids. So yeah, this video is also sort of an excuse to worship Air Force One some more, but, you know, I kind of have to. It's just leagues ahead of everything else, you know? So that's my ranking of my top 25 coasters based off their best elements. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.